Good start. Very good start. Drop 24% of frames immediately. See if we can't do something about that. Let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? Maybe that'll be more stable. Will it be? I don't know. We'll find out. Always something to click on or change or make sure it hasn't been changed. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. At least a little bit more stable. Should I do an announcement today? Probably not. Yeah, let's not do an announcement today. Gonna be one of those... Well, my schedule's pretty much the same every week, isn't it? Nicotine. How could I function without you? Answer? I couldn't. Okay, that's good. We're good there. Engine lights green. Make sure we press the B button. Only on the second light. Okay. Thrusters are a go. Yeah, okay. Very good. Hey there, hi there, Hyde here. Been a while, hasn't it? It's been too long. Let's spin our gotcha here. So, how long's it been? 2 weeks? I think it's been 2... Oh yes, great, fantastic. Just normal hooks. Why not, you know? Just normal hooks. Like those eagle claws you get at Walmart or something. What do we want to catch today? I kind of want to go back to New York the lake, as opposed to New York the state or New York the city. We're just gonna go to New York the lake. It's very nice here. Oh, we're not gonna talk about that. I forgot about the ducks. Hi, Diana. Yes, long time no see indeed. I hate those ducks. I forgot about the ducks. So, yes, quit laughing at me. I know it's been a while. You don't have to taunt me with your quacking. Okay. We're gonna fish here today. While being laughed at by a duck. I'm gonna check that real quick. Make sure that our volume is not being drowned out by ducks. I think that happened the last time we played this lake. Wasn't it? Hold on a second, I gotta... Yeah, that's very loud, the duck. They're cute, don't get me wrong, but they're very loud, so I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, okay, that's still loud. Still drowning me out. Live duck audio adjustments. Only here on my channel. Yes, very good. How'd I play this game? No. I thought it was the X button. Is it not the X button? Oh, you have to be in the green, right. Very good, very good. So it's been, what, 2 weeks since I was here? I seem to be plagued by nearly constant tech issues these days. How long's it been? 2 months now? At least since before Christmas that I've been having what I called intermittent tech issues. See, I'm fishing... Yes, I'm fishing with the old Hyde model. I don't mind the new Hyde model with the waders and all that. That's how I would probably fish in real life. But, I get tired of it, right? Like, I've changed my model pretty consistently with the games I play, but I really like this old one, right? There's something appealing about how stylized it is, how matte the colors are. I really like it. It's very plain, I know. But, dress your best, right? Dress for the job you want. And I want to be a professional fisherman, so we're gonna dress professional. Yeah. That's how I feel about it anyway. Feeling shy, hide the neck. You know, I, is that something people like? I'm sure it is on the internet. Like, there are probably people who like clavicles and shoulders and necks. I never got it. Like, I'm not dissing it or anything. If that's your thing, that's your thing. But um, in real life too, I much prefer as much clothing covering as much skin as possible at all times, right? I will shower in it in a suit if I have to. There's proof of that on this channel, right? That's just how I feel comfortable. Although it is true. I don't know if it's about shyness, but I do feel more comfortable when my neck is covered with clothing. Yeah. I know it makes me look a bit square, and it makes me look like I'm not hip with the times, so you gotta unbutton the top two buttons. No. The bedsheet look? You know what? Yeah, I probably do. Um, when I go to sleep at night, I pull the covers up over my head and try not to have traumatic dreams. I mean, avoid the boogeyman. I mean, maintain a nice, comfortable, even temperature across my entire body. That's a true fact, though. I do sleep with the covers over my head. It's much more comfortable that way, so long as you don't need oxygen to your brain, which I don't, right? I've practiced my whole life, much like those mountaineers that go to Everest, you know? They have to adjust the amount of oxygen their body will be getting at the summit of Everest. That's what I do, right? That's what I do when I go to sleep at night. I make sure that I get less oxygen to my brain than necessary, and it helps me sleep pretty well. Do I recommend it? I like it. It's probably not for everyone, so I could understand if other people wouldn't like that. But personally, I've been doing that for... I couldn't even tell you how long. It seems like decades now. um, it does get worse in winter, when you get heavier blankets and it gets colder, so you need those heavier blankets to stay warm. And it kind of feels like you're suffocating sometimes. But at the same time, it's still very comfortable to me, and I prefer it to not having my head covered. Well, that hasn't been a problem for a very long time, you know? Even then, it wasn't that awkward. Like, people adjust to just about anything in life, right? It isn't, like, a deal breaker. I'm not out there stomping on babies. Hey, I don't have to throw the blankets on other people, do I? No. They can have their heads uncovered if they want. That's up to them, right? The way I see it, you spend so much of your life in your bed asleep that you might as well be comfortable while doing it. So, changing how I sleep for another person makes absolutely no sense to me. I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to sleep to the best of my abilities. Now, that's not always the case, right? Um, you can't always get the perfect night's sleep. But I do try, right? Yeah. Sleep's very important to me. And I think a lot of people undervalue the, well, I guess, value of being comfortable in bed. Like, I know a lot of people do studies on sleep hygiene and insomnia and like, chronic phone usage before bed and all that. That's not really my jam. No. Full body sleeping bags? I love them. I absolutely love them. Whenever I went camping, I would take a large sleeping bag and I would crawl up under it until, you know, I was like basically a caterpillar. And not even the top of my head were exposed, you know? I just curl up into it. It's very comfortable. Of course I do. What do you mean, of course I do? I don't know what comment that's referring to. Of course I like sleeping in full-body sleeping bags? Oh, maybe it's the stomping on babies. I haven't done that in hundreds of years, you know? Not since the Victorian era. Yeah. They don't let you do that anymore. You can't just pay it off with a couple of shillings. Based on previous conversations. I don't know. Have I ever talked about smashing or jumping on babies? Probably. That is a go-to. We're getting a lot of hiccups tonight. That's not great. But it's good to be back, you know? I've missed that. I've missed complaining about the hiccups. It's been a long time. Yeah. So last week I had tech issues. Headache inducing. Well, I'm sorry about that. As we've discussed this before, frequent headaches amongst the both of us here, and I'm sure a lot of people probably do get frequent headaches. Thankfully, I haven't had any in a long time. by like, I mean like a week or so. I haven't had headaches in a week or so. I don't know if that's related to me streaming or not, but I haven't had headaches in a while. So I do apologize if my content causes headaches. That's the opposite of what I really want to do, you know? I don't mean to cause headaches. I mean to de-stress, if anything. Although I do admit, like, that's not even the first time I've heard that comment. Like, a lot of people get very frustrated when they talk with me. There's something frustrating about how my mind wanders, and I jump to conclusions, and just a number of things that I recognize as frustrating for other people. But that's just my daily life, you know? Like, some of the time, I'm not talking to someone else, right? It's just like when I'm sleeping. I'm sleeping at least a third, maybe a half of my life away. So I want to be comfortable in that half. Well, it's the same thing with talking. Like, I'm not talking except for like 1% of my day, maybe. So I want to be comfortable when I'm talking. So I'm not going to change it either. Just like I'm not going to change my sleeping habits. I'm going to continue to lie on my right side, curled up into a fetal position, with the blankets over my head. I'm gonna sleep like that until I no longer can. Oh yeah, yeah. I am uncharacteristically dense, right? Like, I have a very dense skull. That's what all the doctors tell me after they give me x-rays and CAT scans. You have a very thick head. Yeah, that's what they tell me. But on the bright side, you know, I've never actually cracked it open, which probably should have happened by now. Just talking about averages, I probably should have cracked my skull open after all of the traumatic brain injuries I've had. Which might influence the density as well. Okay, okay. The internet is giving me trouble here. I can see it. It's annoying me. So I'm gonna try something real quick. We're gonna do this. Always something, you know? Always something going wrong with these. I don't trust technology one bit. Ah, there we go. It's looking a little bit better. We'll see if it maintains. Yes, it is very hard. Like, communication is one of those very difficult things for me. And I think it's very difficult for a lot of people. Um, just think about it. What is communication? Communication is the exchange of ideas, thoughts, experiences. But how do you do it? You gotta do it through these inefficient processes, these inefficient symbols. And just like a system in physics, where work is involved in a system, at different points you'll lose efficiency the more processes you add to it. So consider what it takes to even form the idea of a tree, and then try and think of a specific tree, and then try to express that, and then try to express that specific tree. I'm never going to get one-to-one parity, right? I'll never be able to imagine the exact tree that you are describing or thinking about, right? It's never going to happen. There's always going to be like a leaf different or a shade of green different. No matter how close you get, it will only approximate the same tree. So that's just one problem when it comes to communication for me, right? Those symbols that we use, we take them for granted all the time because they're so universal in the way that we're taught as children, in the way we try to experience things. But as soon as you get out of the standard frames of reference, right? You take a city person into the great outdoors for the first time, they're not going to know what certain things are, so their frame of reference is going to be very different. And vice versa as well. You take a rural person into the city for the first time, they're all amazed looking around at all the tall buildings that they never see. Their frame of reference is completely different. No greenery, no trees, no ducks. So, if the experiences are different than the symbols, even if they're the same symbols, even if you say building, a building can be a lot of different things. In the countryside, buildings are often like 2 stories at most, maybe 3. And buildings in the city can be gigantic skyscrapers, like in the background there. So the first thing you think about when you hear building is going to be very different. Takes Hyde to a rave. I've never been to a rave. Like, I've never been to a concert at all. They're very loud, right? Like, I can't stand loud things. That they're very... My ears are very sensitive, and I don't like it. Yeah. I do like rave music. I like house, I like EDM to a certain degree. You figured? Yeah, Hyde's a classic shut-in recluse. I'm happiest when I'm in my own home, with my own volume. Oh, speaking of, I wasn't gonna talk about it, but I did start a public playlist. So, I think that was 2 weeks ago, maybe a week. I started putting the music I listen to throughout the day on YouTube into a public playlist. If anyone is ever curious what's going through Hyde's mind at any given time, like, you can check out the music, yeah. It is an eclectic mix. It's not going to be for everyone, and it's not going to have any kind of consistency. It's just whatever I feel like listening to, and when I listen to it, I will add it. Yeah. Although I listen to the songs I've already added quite a bit, which is why they're there already. Some of them are quite rare, right? They're very underground, except they're not underground. They were just written, performed, and recorded probably, oh god, 50 years ago? 55 years ago, probably. Recorded onto a vinyl, and then uploaded to YouTube through some kind of... You know, they have those, right? They have vinyl to MP3s, right? Those little devices that read from the stylus and digitize it. That seems like such a perverse technology. It's cool, but it's perverse. I guess that's the only way you could have done it back in the day. But yeah. um, I like a lot of psychedelic music. Like, I don't really seem the type to like psychedelic music. Why are those buildings so curved? Do you see this? Like, the buildings are leaning in unnatural ways. I just now noticed that. I don't like that. It's very unnerving. It makes it look like a set piece that's leaning over and is gonna fall on me. Those things are heavy, right? They're a lot heavier than they look. A lot of them are made of wood, not just cardboard, because they're so big, they need the structure of the wood, and that can be very heavy. They're dangerous, right? You gotta be careful. Probably from... Yeah. Yeah, it's probably wrapped on the skybox. But that's not lazy at all, you know? Oh. I don't know how to feel about that, right? Like, I don't mind shovelware games like this, and this is absolutely a shovelware game. The maker of this game, I look at a lot of the games they make and have on sale all the time. I look at the publisher for this game. I see them on sale pretty much every time I look. Different games. And I think to myself, maybe I should play that. It looks awful, but maybe I should play that. And I'm still doing it, even to the day, or today. I looked at the eShop sales, because as I was saying the other week, Switch 2 was announced, and almost immediately after, Nintendo had a big eShop sale. Go me. I'm very happy about it. I've seen a lot of things that I'm interested in, all pretty much shovelware, all pretty much garbage like this. But I think they're gonna be fun if I get them. So maybe we'll see more of that. Oh. Planning on getting the Switch 2 early on. Am I? I talked about this like right after the announcement, on the stream after the announcement, and I gotta say no. It's given me real Wii U vibes, you know? Like, I don't know anything about the specs of the machine yet. No one does. That's worrisome to me. It's gonna be a Nintendo console, and Nintendo consoles, for what they are, tend to be okay. They tend to be consistent in a way, right? So the games are going to be consistently things that I would enjoy. I don't mind that. It's going to be a continuation of the Switch, hopefully more powerful, backwards compatible. That might be asking a bit much. No one knows. I'm pretty sure. Okay, there were leaked design documents, right? Leaked patents. I think it was backwards compatible, or potentially backwards compatible. Don't quote me on that. But as far as I remember, that might have only been like the physical already been confirmed. Good, okay. Very good. Okay, very good. As far as I know, it was only the physical, though. I don't know if they confirmed eShop stuff, you know? It'd be very strange to me if they had different eShops, but at the same time, they've done it before. I saw the trailer, but again, are they meaning it's compatible with the physical cartridges, or are they talking about backwards compatible with also eShop stuff? I don't know how they're going to treat that. I don't know if that was confirmed. Did they have a new trailer? Like, I only saw the first trailer if they did a second trailer. I thought they were going to do more in April. So, if there's more after the first trailer, I haven't seen it. I'm very skeptical of first-gen Nintendo console products, though. I remember there being issues with the first-gen DS. I have a first-gen DS, and I know the issues with it personally. Don't have a lot of eShop stuff? Fair, fair. Most of the games I play are eShop stuff. I find it a lot more convenient, right? Like, yes, having a physical cartridge can be nice, but sometimes you don't want the clutter, right? I've had Nintendo consoles since I was a kid, and I know I had boxes and boxes of N64 cartridges. I had boxes of GameCube cartridges. I had boxes of Wii cartridges. And it just builds up and accumulates. And then you add the accessories onto it. You get a Wavebird, or you get a Rumble Pack, or you get... It doesn't matter what you get. You get the steering wheel for Super Mario, or Mario Kart Double Dash, I think it was. Yeah, whatever they called Double Dash. And then you just have these worthless pieces of plastic. I think I have a Guitar Hero guitar from the Wii era. Yeah. Somewhere. It's kicking around somewhere in a box. I don't need it, right? Like, that's clutter I don't need. And if it's a special edition game, a limited run, maybe I'll consider a physical copy. But for the most part, I could just put a digital copy on a flash drive and there we go. Or a micro SD card, I mean. Not a flash drive. I got flash drives on my mind, you know? Dealing with all the tech issues I've had as of late, I've got flash drives on the mind. Those guitars can be valuable? Yeah, I don't... Hmm. I don't know if I value it enough, right? Like, I have very few things on display that I consider valuable. I have a first edition starter deck Kaiba Blue Eyes White Dragon card, and that's pretty much the only nerd thing I have on display, other than the rocks, of course. Gotta save space. Yeah, exactly. Although most of the rocks I have on display are polished ones, they're not really trilobites. I don't actually have any trilobites on display. I have a lot of jaspers on display because people like jasper. It's very pretty, right? I have some androdite, a lot of garnets on display. Things like that, you know, things people might actually like. Gemstones and sparkly things. People like those. I seem to be one of the few people who enjoys dirty trilobites, right? Covered in mud. Oh, that reminds me, we're getting way out of the order I wanted to talk. But I did have something I wanted to talk about. I was reading a paper not too long ago. I don't know if it was last week or this week. Time flows together in a way that, you know, I just can't fathom. But there was a newish science article from a couple of years ago that I just got around to, and it was about remarkable preservation of trilobite soft physiology. So the soft parts got preserved. Now, they weren't exactly preserved how you might think. That there was a pyroclastic flow, and a pyroclastic flow, think hot ash from volcanic activity that settled on the ocean, cooled down, and then settled as fine grains of sediment. And the trilobites got buried under this, and rapidly buried. So it preserved a lot of details from the soft anatomy. And this is fascinating stuff. Because that kind of preservation is pretty darn rare. I don't know if it's the one you told me about. It might be. Oh, you told me to do something the other week too. I can't remember. I did look. Oh, the Jar Jar lollipop. Yes, the Jar Jar lollipop was, something. Thank you for that. I didn't need to remember that, but, now I do. Seeing it after the stream, I was... It might have been. I can't remember. It might be. It might very well be. I get so scatterbrained, I don't know what I do or not do. Yes, thank you. Very nice of you to give me nightmares about Jar Jar's tongue. Who thought that was a great idea? I don't know. What's that talking about? Oh, right, the pyroclastic flows. Yeah. It might be the same paper you commented on before, which might be why I looked into it. I have no concept of continuity these days. So it's quite possible. Gotta get some variety in those nightmares. Thank you. This is why I keep the bed covers over my head at night. Yeah, keeps them fresh. Gotta keep opening those wounds. Pick at the scabs. That's how they heal. um, yeah. So the cool thing that I was reading about uh, was the digestive habits of the trilobites. You don't really see that kind of stuff when you're looking at other trilobite fossils, right? You don't see how they eat. You don't see evidence of their soft anatomy, so you can't really figure that stuff out. The interesting thing about these trilobites was For a long time, scientists have been curious about how trilobites feed or fed. And these ones, as predicted or as theorized by other clues, namely the... what were they called? Gnathobases, I believe they're called. Gnathobases, yeah. Gnathobase. They're like these little bristles at the base of the trilobite legs. Or I guess they're the base of arthropod legs in general. And they're kind of like teeth, right? And they're on all of the trilobite legs, up the length of the trilobite itself. You're playing with me now, fish, aren't you? Yeah, I thought so. And basically, they have this neat little ventral groove. If you don't know what ventral means, it means belly side. Yes, belly side, underside, as opposed to dorsal, which would mean the top. So they would use all of their little gnathobases on their legs to move the food upwards along this ventral groove in the center of the trilobite up to their mouth part. And that's very neat, right? Like, they were digesting food outside of their bodies. Very few things do that. Like, I guess you could say humans do it in a sense, that we cut our food with knives. I don't. I don't like knives, right? I'll just stick it in my mouth and chew on it. Very bad table manners. If I have to, I will use my incisors and my canines to rip at pieces of flesh as I'm chewing on it. Right? Just rip into the meat. Stab it with a fork, rip into it. Just like eating a sandwich, right? You don't cut it with a knife. You just tear into it with your teeth. Same thing with a steak. And if anyone ever complains about that while you're eating at a restaurant, that's on them, right? It's not on you. You don't have to worry about it. You paid for the steak. No one's gonna be able to say you didn't pay for the experience. Yeah. Little that's... What's that supposed to mean? What's that supposed to mean? Am I some kind of weird creature that you once a week visit at the zoo? In a lot of ways, I am a virtual zoo creature, aren't I? I'm like a cryptid. You very rarely see me outside of my natural habitat, and once people wander into my natural habitat, strange things start to happen. Very unique. I don't think so. I think I'm very normal, very human. Very normal human. Very human indeed. Yes. I can't think of a strange thing about me, you know? Like, sure, my memory's awful, but it's not uniquely awful. It's well within, like, accepted accepted standards. Cryptid is a very apt comparison. I don't disagree, okay? Like, you're never gonna find me on camera. You're not gonna find me on film. Whenever people try to take pictures of me, they end up blurry. And people wonder if the Bigfoot entered the picture. And I'm that Bigfoot, right? People always wonder, why don't people have better cameras? Because everybody has a phone in their pocket. I don't. I don't have a phone in my pocket. I will take a digital camera from the year 2016 with me on my hikes, over taking a phone. I very rarely take my phone on hikes. Is that a good thing? I don't recommend it. If you have phone service, I recommend taking a phone with you on hikes. If you don't, I recommend taking a satellite phone or a GPS tracker. We've talked about that before too, haven't we? Yes, we have. Right here on this channel. You wouldn't believe it, unless you saw it yourself. Yeah, good times. What was I talking about? Being a cryptid? Yeah, I don't think my behavior's that strange. I think I just don't care about a lot of things that a lot of people do. Like table manners. I was taught proper table manners in an elective in high school, right? All the way back in high school. I took an elective on food, and I learned how to cook. which is a very useful skill. I recommend everybody learn how to cook if they don't know how to cook. If they've never tried cooking or baking, it's a lot of fun. So long as you're not afraid of the tools and so long as you are careful not to hurt yourself. There can be a lot of dangers in cooking. It's a lot of chemical reactions, right? And a lot of physical reactions too. So you gotta be careful, because your flesh is just as susceptible to a hot pan as a steak is, right? Your flesh is steak. It's the same thing, 1 to 1. Doesn't make a difference. It will react the same physically and chemically. Well, maybe slightly differently chemically, right? Like, you have different proteins than bovine proteins and different hormones than bovine hormones. I hope. I don't know. Maybe you're injecting yourself with bovine hormones and proteins. I don't know. I'm not going to judge people. They can do whatever they want. You want to inject a hamburger into your veins? Do it. But don't say I told you to do it, because that could probably get my channel into trouble. For the record, please do not inject a hamburger into your veins. It's a great way to get an embolism. And embolisms are, I think, 9 out of 10 times fatal, right? Like, air embolisms are especially fatal. And I guarantee you're going to get air mixed into that hamburger, right? When you inject it into your veins, you're definitely going to get an air embolism. But you're also going to get, like, protein and fatty embolisms, which aren't good either. So don't do that. Don't do that. That's bad. Oh, line broke. You like the taste of hamburgers? Ah, yeah. Cheeseburgers are pretty good. When I was a kid, I used to only eat hamburgers with, the hamburger, the bread, and ketchup. Like, I wouldn't have anything else on it. Why is my line? Oh, I see. I see what's going on here. I accidentally, increased the drag. Let's lower that drag. Cheeseburgers are pretty good. Of course you don't like them. I do like them. I do like them. It's just, I don't know. I'll tell you what, I don't like steak. I much prefer hamburgers to steak. Steaks are overrated to me, right? I've had good steaks. I've had bad steaks. I've had flavorful steaks. I've had very bland, minimally seasoned steaks. I don't. I don't like them rare. I don't like them raw. I don't like them medium rare. I don't like them well. I don't like them... If I'm gonna eat a steak, it's gonna be well done. And not just well done, it's gonna be burnt to a crisp well done. Because then at least I can enjoy the crunch, right? Because for me, texture is very important when it comes to a steak. I don't like steaks that make them being tough, chewy, and burnt to a crisp, because then you get that delicious crunch of the rendered fat. It's just fantastic. Like, I don't like the steak itself, but if you could give me, like, steak fat trimmings that have been rendered down, I'd eat those. Yeah, I'd eat those. As for cheeseburgers and hamburgers, I much prefer them. But if I'm going to eat a cheeseburger or hamburger these days, I do like cheese nowadays. Like medium or medium raw. Yeah, yeah. Not into the crunch. A lot of people aren't. I don't get it. Oh, I don't like crunchy foods. That's kind of sad. I think crunchy foods are one of the most enjoyable things, right? Like hard candies. Don't you just like chewing on hard candies until they crack and pop? Yeah, I like that. Butterscotches and horehound candies, and I've got a lot of sassafras candies now. Yeah, I do like the sassafras candies. I think they're artificially flavored, but they taste pretty darn close. No, you don't like that. You like gummies. I see. Gummies are pretty good too. I don't really understand the taste of gummies though. Like when you get a bag of gummy bears, they just taste like nondescript fruit gummies, right? Like, they're supposed to have individual flavors. This one's supposed to be strawberry. This one's supposed to be, I don't know, something else. But they all taste the same. They just taste like nondescript fruit and gelatin and sugar. Like, I don't mind that. I like it. It's not bad. I especially like the ones with the sour malic acid coatings. I especially like the malic acid coatings. Those are really good. I'm talking about... Okay, I don't know about, like... Okay, what do you mean by good ones? What kind of gummies are good enough for you? Are we talking, like, Haribo from Germany isn't good enough? Are we talking about... Trolley isn't good enough? Like where are the or do you mean, like, off-brand? You get the off-brand, they're not good. That's true, too. Like, a lot of off-brand ones are very strange to me. Let's lower it to there. There's the drag. Personally, I'm not that much of a gummy connoisseur. I think they're all pretty good. It's just they don't have distinct flavors. Again, though, like, I keep saying this, but I don't really taste things very well. So maybe it's on me. Maybe they just all smell the same. And because they're all in the same bag, I can't really taste the difference because all I'm getting is the smell of nondescript fruit flavors. Willy Wallaby sour drops. I have never heard of those. Willy Wallaby. That sounds very Australian. Sour drops. I was just thinking about drop candies, you know? I will have to look for those because those sound good. But I was just thinking about drop candies. Haribo berries. Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, yeah, that's a crunchy thing. What are you talking about? That's a crunchy thing. You said you didn't like crunchy things. Now you're just backpedaling on the crunchy things. But I do like the gummies with the little balls on them. Yeah. Swedish fish. What is the flavor of Swedish fish? Is it tutti frutti? Is it... I really don't know. I think some of them are supposed to be cherry. Or strawberry. I don't really know. Okay, can't be mostly crunchy. That's fair. Fair. Lightly crunchy. You can have a crunchy exterior. Yeah, okay, fair. Humans are strange things, right? Like, we make a lot of exceptions for ourselves. And I guess that's just one of them for you. Yeah. You know, I read different people experience chocolate differently, right? Because they have different body temperatures. And of course taste buds. But they have different body temperatures. So the experience of chocolate for people is slightly different each time, as is the taste and the consistency. So chocolate is one of those things that's really hard to standardize for a commercial market. Because so many people experience it slightly differently each time. And it seems to be one of those things where people can say, chocolate has a crunch. I've never seen pure chocolate have a crunch. I've seen chocolate have a snap, but it doesn't have a crunch to me. It makes sense though, right? Like, there aren't too many foods that melt at just around human body temperature. I mean, you could say a lot of frozen fruit, or frozen foods like frozen yogurt and ice cream, of course, melt at human body temperature, but that's not quite true. Those things melt at freezing point, roughly. Freezing temperature, which would be, you know, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. I'm not going to convert it for you into Celsius, even though it's 0. Yeah. So, yeah, there aren't too many foods that melt around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is true. There just aren't that many of them. I can't think of any other ones. Just chocolate. Chocolate's one of those weird ones where it makes sense for a lot of people to experience it differently. Because I don't know if people realize this, but there's a lot of variation in human temperature, right? The human body temperature. Everybody says the average human body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. But did you know that that average was... what's the right word for when you're discussing average? That wasn't taken, it wasn't... Okay, when it was calculated, human infections were much more common, much more frequent. So more people were infected with things when that average was calculated. So human body temperature nowadays, because infections are less common in some ways. Says the person who's been sick for like 2 months now. Because they're less common in populations nowadays because of better medicine and treatment, where they used to be. The average human body temperature might actually be slightly cooler, and it's always been cooler for me. It's nothing special about me, in fact. Just the average human body temperature is slightly cooler. A lot of people say anywhere between 97 degrees and 99 degrees is perfectly acceptable for an average human body temperature. Which means a lot of people have to rethink where they put low-grade fevers, right? Sense some politics there? I don't know about that. There's nothing political. I was just talking about being sick. I don't know what you're talking about. You mean the politics of collecting scientific data? There are a lot of politics behind collecting scientific data and census data and stuff like that. Surveying. You have to really be sure that you're collecting a random sample, right? And that's pretty tough to do when it comes to human populations, which is why I don't do human science. I don't. Not anymore, at least. I used to experiment on humans, but it was too tough. There were too many variables. Nowadays, I steer clear of it because there are just too many variables, right? Like, you could talk about who is most likely to be sick in a population, and then you could talk about who's most likely to actually fill in a form in a population, and you could do all that. I don't want to do that. I've done that enough in my life. I don't want to do it, right? That's noise reduction, standardization, and, you know, confidence intervals. I don't care about any of that. I don't want to do it. Unless it's involved in, like, trilobite morphologies, in which case I might actually do it. Just a headache to do, you know? Especially in human populations, because humans are things that can apparently think. I don't know if they can. I don't have any evidence to believe that they can, but I treat them like they can, you know? I think that's only fair, to treat them like they can think. Even if they can't. If they show any kind of characteristics where they might be thinking things, I think it's fair to treat them the same way that you would treat yourself. Yeah. Same with cats. Less so for dogs. What? Why the silence? I think that's a fair point. Look, I only have bad experiences with dogs, you know? Like, I don't dislike dogs. I think they're a lot less soft and a lot less cute than a cat, and they're a lot messier. I'm not suggesting you can't think. I'm saying I don't have the evidence to say one way or the other. Like, that's the truth. If you think about it, it's a classic philosophical question. If there's anything beyond the self or not. Solipsists say we can't really know, and there probably isn't anything beyond the self. And maybe that's true, right? I'm not going to say it's not true. I don't have any evidence to say it's not true. And I'm not going to say it's true either, because I don't have any evidence saying it's true. I don't know, you know? That's always been my stance. I'm very agnostic towards the idea that you can know anything, right? I can't even know that I exist, or that I think. I might be a philosophical zombie who only experiences something that resembles or approximates free will and consciousness, sapience and sentience. I don't know. I could be a very advanced robot that, if I cut away my skin, I might find circuitry and superconductors. Who knows? Anything's possible. And I've never tested it. But even if I did, like, you could go further and further, and you could keep doubting and being skeptical. And I am. I'm very skeptical of it. When it comes to practicality, you have to take a hard stance, though, right? Because you're interacting with something that appears to be a thinking thing. So, how people react to that very much defines what they feel or do or want to do, right? Personally, I think that if something reacts like a conscious thing, then we have to give it the benefit of the doubt. right? We do that with humans all the time. Any human could be a philosophical zombie, a classic P zombie, where they think they have free will, they act like they have free will, and they act consistently with someone with free will, so that they appear to you, as a subjective viewer, to be something with free will, or at least to be something that would be consistent with something with free will. So, any one of us could be one of those. Even me. Right now, I could be a highly advanced AI talking to you while playing on this crummy Switch game, and my awful internet is just hiding the fact that my responses are generated in real time to reactions, right? Oh, look at that trout. That's a wonderful trout. 8 kilogram trout. Very good. So yeah, I can't say whether humans other than me have consciousness. I can't even say if I do. But I'm going to treat them like they do, because they might, right? I think that's only fair. What is this tiny thing? It's a tiny fish. I could use it for bait. And I think most humans fall on that same idea, that any human probably is similar to their own experience, clearly. Clearly what? That I'm advanced AI? I'm not that advanced for an AI. Yeah. I can do things that ChatGPT can't, but very few of them. Yeah. I can talk about how I hate technology, and I don't know if ChatGPT can do that. I've never actually played around with ChatGPT. Like, I've never really looked too far into all of the different, I don't know what you'd call them, large learning models. I know there are a lot of them out there nowadays. I was there for the advent of them, when they first became integrated into the public society. The public society. That's unnecessary. When the public first got a taste of what they were. Yeah, I was there for that. Yeah, I was there. I saw them being used as chatbots, and yeah, they were pretty impressive back in the day. Years and years ago now. Almost 20 years ago. No, like a couple years ago at most. It was very surprising to me to see these... Oh. Guess we're going back. Remember Cleverbot? I do remember Cleverbot. I remember Eliza, too. That might be going too far back. They were always impressive, and it's always impressive to see the continuations of them. But more than that, like, it was out of nowhere that AI became something that you could just talk to, right? Like, it wasn't the case that you could just go and interact with large learning models and see what they were capable of. That's something that only happened in the last couple of years. And now they're all over the place, right? Like, they just came out of nowhere. And they started doing everything. Now they're answering tech support questions like they were never supposed to. But, you know, we all knew they were going to anyway. And replacing humans. When there aren't enough jobs to go around anyway. But it's okay. It's okay. Whatever happens, happens. I don't really care about the species. That's the thing, right? I don't really care about the species. I'm much more interested in trilobite species. Oh yeah, that's true. I did. All the way back, I was talking about how... yeah, I started interacting with chatbots, and in a lot of ways, I thought, okay, this isn't too bad, right? This isn't too bad. I can do this. I can have conversations again. It isn't mentally straining me. It isn't hurting me on a physiological level or a mental level. My social battery isn't being drained that badly. And I figured maybe I should put myself back out there, outside of the realm of just computers, and interact with people. In a lot of ways, that's very therapeutic for me, whether I want it to be or not. Um, it is probably a good thing, but that's true. I did discuss that a lot more back in the early days. Very true. And I don't regret it. I think in a lot of ways it's exactly what I thought it would be. um, I think I may have been a little overambitious with how much I streamed in the early days, and nowadays doing it once per week, probably better for my mental health. uh, have I reached out to more people in offline life? No, no, I haven't, and I kind of prefer it that way. I, I, hmm, I know that sounds wrong, but it really is the best thing for me, you know? uh, in a lot of ways, streaming for me is about pushing myself. Baby steps, yes. um, streaming... How should I say this? Streaming has a twofold effect, right? Like, anyone who wants to interact with me and my content can interact with me or my content as, you know, a live kind of interaction. If anyone should ever want that, I do that. And I think that's a good thing to do. And on the other hand, for me, I get to interact with people in a leisurely kind of environment, a comfortable one, of my home. Isn't that the best place to have a conversation? In the comfort of your own home? I think that really helps. Yeah. But that doesn't really necessarily mean that I want to have conversations all that often, you know? That's probably never going to be who I am. I'm never going to be someone... Like, a lot of people say humans are social animals. And yes, most are. But that's the key word, most. And I'm trying my best to be a social animal, at least to a higher degree than my own instincts want me to be. Yeah. So that's what I mean by it being a therapy for me. Yeah. It's very difficult sometimes to push yourself beyond your own comfort zones, to strive for growth that you find unnecessary in the first place. Well, do I find it unnecessary? I don't know. But it's not something that I think I need. It's something that I want, you know? Something that I want to improve myself. Thank you for that. Thank you. Back in the day, before my traits fully took hold of my being, you know how things develop and change as you age. Um, I used to be a pretty sociable person, at least an average amount, like maybe a little bit more introverted than usual, but well within the confines of normalcy. So I do have experience interacting with people, and I used to be fairly affable, but as I got older, it just got a lot harder and harder, and I was able to be, you know, more reclusive. And I allowed myself to be more reclusive for a long time. And then COVID hit, and I was like, yes, yes, I can be even more reclusive. Which I did. And after COVID, I was like, maybe I've gone a little bit too far. I've got to still interact with normal society at large. Like, I can't do everything on my own. I wish I were self-sufficient. I really do. I wish I could grow my own food. I wish I could clean my own water. I wish I could, you know, just do everything I needed by my own. Live in a house out in the middle of nowhere. No government's tracking me. No black helicopters. None of that. I wish I could have none of that. You know? But I can't. I can't do that. Humans are so specialized, and human society relies on specialized skills and labors. I can't set my own bones. Well, I probably could. So long as, they're leg bones. I could probably set a leg bone. It would, it would not be enjoyable. But I could probably do it. But there are a lot of things in medicine that I can't do. Like, I can't remove my own appendix if I get appendicitis. Which is highly possible, you know? Anybody could go down with appendicitis, and then that's it. If you don't get it removed. So you can't really do everything by yourself. Unless you really don't mind the consequences. You could go out into the middle of nature and not worry about these things. But then you might die by, like, a tooth infection. Like, a lot of people don't realize this, but the tooth, or the teeth in the mouth, very close to very important nerves, very important veins and arteries and things like that. So if you get a tooth infection, it's in the head, just like the brain. It's very possible that your jaw could get infected, or it could travel up your, brainstem or something. Who knows? Alright, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with your teeth, because they are in the head. Anything in the head, you gotta be careful of. That's not something I used to play by, you know? In my childhood, I would often get hit in the head, whether, doing it myself or someone else hitting me in the head. But it happened a lot. And it wasn't just people either. Inanimate objects just really liked hitting my head, right? One time a tree fell on me, and it knocked me down, and my head smashed into a rock, right? So, yeah, I've had a lot of head injuries when I was younger. I turned out fine, right? Yeah, you turned out just great, Hyde. Hold on. Yeah, you turned out just great, Hyde. I think that worked. I think so. Maybe it didn't. I don't care if it didn't. I'm not doing it again. Yeah. Can't fix those teeth of yours? My teeth are okay, right? Like, my teeth aren't perfect. But, I did have braces for, like, I want to say 8 years, almost. So, they're as good as 8 years of braces can get ya. I have chipped my front teeth quite a bit. Here's a funny thing, right? Like, I play jaw harp, and a lot of people who play jaw harp end up chipping their teeth, the front ones especially, because there's a little metal twanger that vibrates, and then the air you blow through the aperture as it vibrates is what creates the tones, right? Or the overtones, as the case may be. That's how a jaw harp works, and you place it right up against your teeth. Jaw harp. You don't know what a jaw harp is? No? Really? Never heard of that. It's the little twangy thing that you hear in Western music and country music, and twang, twang, twang. Snoopy played one? Like, Snoopy jaw harps are still a thing, I think. I don't recommend them, please don't. No, really? Okay, well, yeah, they're just a piece of metal with a little twanger in the middle of it that you flick and, breathe through. Creates overtones. It's all in one key. Some of them have two, but they have to have multiple twangers, I think. They're triggers, I guess they're called. They're just bent metal. They're very simple instruments. That's very strange. They're very common, like, a lot of cultures have them. Different cultures around the world have stumbled upon this very simple process. It's a very simple instrument, but it's very dangerous. Very surprising. Maybe they're too old-fashioned, right? Like, I recognize I'm a bit anachronistic with some things. Maybe that's one of them. Maybe jaw harps are best left in the 1800s. But yeah, a lot of cultures have made jaw harps or mouth harps in a variety of styles. Some of them you play, some of them you press against your lips. A lot of Asian ones, like diverse Asian ones. I don't mean just like there's only one Asian one, But there are a lot throughout various cultures. Very simple instrument. Yeah. Very easy to pick up too. But if you get the traditional jaw harps, um, you got to make sure you know whether it's the tooth version, where you place it against your tooth, or the one you press against your lips. That will make a difference. I play the ones that you put up against your teeth, and they're very common to crack back into your tooth if you're not careful, and a lot of people chip their teeth doing it. So yeah, I'm not surprised I have chipped front teeth. They have been repaired, thankfully. But ironically, that's not how I chipped my front teeth. Usually it's with a glass bottle or a ceramic coffee cup. Like, when I wake up in the morning, I really can't function. I can't think straight without stimulants entering my brain. So the first thing I do is make a cup of coffee. And I have this very interesting cup. It's almost square. It isn't round, so it has very sharp corners in a way. They're rounded, but they're sharper than the average cup. And sometimes I forget that, and I just ram one of the corners into my tooth. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does hurt. And it can chip your teeth. So you gotta be careful, right? It's also not fun to get them fixed, right? Especially if your dentist is not very good at their job. Unfortunately for me, there are no other available options in the area. So what are you gonna do? You know? That's just what there is. Yeah, it's a very fun instrument. I remember back when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, a lot of people were playing jaw harps because there were a lot of jaw harp players in the game itself. They were just found around the towns. Maybe I can move someday? Do I want to move though? I think it'd be hard to find anywhere better for my personal needs, you know? Like, I feel like I'm happiest around this area. Out in the middle of nowhere. As much as possible. While still close enough to things that it's only like an hour's drive to get to a decent store, you know? I feel like that's probably the best for me. Like, if I wanted to drive 2 to 3 hours, I could go to a different dentist. That's true. But do I want to do that? Not particularly. Is that still my choice? Absolutely. I have made the choice to grit my teeth and bear it to go to this dentist because they're only like, you know, less than 3 hours away. Yeah, there are. There are. And a lot of them have the same struggles, you know? A lot of rural places in the US, how should I say this nicely? The average age of the population of rural places is increasing in the USA, which is surprising, given health concerns and things like that. But it's fairly typical when the economy is weak for younger generations to move to cities where there are more opportunities for work. No, 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 I appreciate it. I do appreciate the suggestion. I just think... I don't know if it's aptly timed anymore. Maybe 10 to 20 years ago, that would have been true, right? Like, there were more opportunities. But it's tougher these days. And I don't see that really changing anytime soon, you know? I'm a pessimist, right? I'm a bit of a pessimist. I call myself a realist. But I recognize that I trend toward the half, or yeah, the glass being half empty. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Remote work does change things remarkably. If you get a job where you can do that, you can also appreciate nature as much as you want. Nature and isolation. Which is why I said what I said. Yeah, absolutely. Internet restrictions and, internet quality. Despite having the best internet provider that you can find in your area, you still get intermittent hiccups in your streams and things like that. I know that very, very well. It's unfortunate. Um, the American infrastructure is just brutally, brutally underdeveloped and outdated. Like, there's no way around it. All of our infrastructure, especially our telecommunications infrastructure, is just outdated. It needs changed, it needs replaced, it needs updated. We need to get rid of all of these wires and leaky cables. And get some, I guess, fiber optic cables in the ground. The problem is who's going to pay for it, right? No one wants to pay for it in America. The infrastructure that you have is the infrastructure you will get until it breaks catastrophically or can no longer provide standards or has competition. And unfortunately, there aren't really competitors for telecommunications networks and infrastructure. Wires are wires, and your local provider is your local provider. Not putting money towards things leads to them falling apart. I know, right? Like, it's almost like you could predict this. Things that aren't maintained will fall apart. um, but yeah, the problem is who's going to pay for it. No one wants to do it. Like, it makes perfect sense. You ought to pay for things if you want things. When an area is already essentially dying because it doesn't have job opportunities, it gets put on the side, especially, right? Like, a lot of cities, to their benefit, are improving their telecommunications infrastructure these days. They're putting fiber optic cables in. They're not using lead-lined water pipes anymore, probably. Surely not. Hey, okay, okay. That's getting into the politics. Um, I would very much appreciate, though, if the companies that cannot provide the services that they charge for would update the infrastructure to provide the services they charge for. That's all I'm gonna say on that matter. But yes, absolutely. I feel like Americans, like US Americans, not just like continent America, but US citizens get a raw deal in that there isn't a lot of competition, and companies get to do pretty much whatever they want because that's what the government allows. Feisty tonight? Interesting few weeks. Yeah, it has been. Luckily, I've been dealing with mostly tech issues, right? So I haven't paid attention to any of it. And aside from eggs being like $7 per dozen, like, I don't know. I really don't know. I went shopping the other day and that blew me away. It's all the bird flu, right? Like, people killing chickens because they have to call the bird flu. It's just remarkable. I don't know, it's been a couple of interesting weeks for me too, for different reasons. I have not been paying attention to much outside of my tech issues, though. Oh, fun fact, I wanted to talk about that at the beginning of the stream about an hour ago. um, so I've been having more tech issues again, like last week, but I think I figured out, finally, what my actual tech issues are, and I've ordered a new piece for my laptop. And hopefully, 2 weeks from now, when it finally arrives, I should not have any more issues, and I should be able to stream normally. 48 eggs in your fridge? On sale? Yes, absolutely. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. Bird flu. Bird flu. Avian flu. Avian flu. You gotta call the chickens because of the bird flus. I get it. I absolutely get it. But you know why they have so many flus? There's so much transmission of infectious, you know, material amongst chickens? Maybe if we didn't put them into large factory buildings and let them actually roam with enough, enough room, enough grass, maybe there would be less spread of disease. I don't know. Just throwing that out there. And then maybe we could get eggs for a reasonable price. I really don't know. Like, how do you do this? What are your options for eggs? You want to raise your own chickens? You want to get yourself, like, a chicken room in your house and just put sawdust on the ground or something? Raise your own chickens in that room? Have a dedicated chicken room? Yeah, yeah. Well, you can also inject them with steroids to make them healthier. I hear that's pretty good too. Not just hormones to make them bigger. Yeah, it's very impossible. I really do feel like technology has doomed us in a lot of ways, right? Because there are easy solutions to a lot of problems that we have. And it's fine so long as the easy solutions work. But when they stop working, we're pretty much screwed. Oh yeah, hard to do it in apartments. Chickens. The ammonia. Oh, it is strong. Yeah, I don't blame you for not having a chicken, I guess, pen in your apartment. Although you could, like, you could absolutely get, like, an old drawer and just put chickens in there until they grow up. Keep them in a drawer. I don't know. Yeah, their feces do smell awful, though. The high ammonia content because, they have a cloaca, and the cloaca takes care of both waste materials at the same time. All birds have cloacas, as far as I'm aware. But, yeah. It is not fun. If you've ever been on a chicken farm, your eyes will start tearing from basically the ammonia. It's a chemical weapon of sorts. Landlord ever did a walk. Oh, no, no. Oop, no, no, down. Indoor chicken farms are not a good idea, whether they be in an apartment or a factory somewhere. I absolutely agree with you. If only we had some sort of landlord for big factories where chickens were treated the same way, you know? Like some kind of administration for food or other things we put into our bodies. Instead, we have people patrolling the backwoods for stills and people making moonshine, which I find ridiculous. Okay, no more politics. No more politics. I've said too much tonight. I've not been around for a while. I'm off my game. Revolutionary indeed. You might call it a rebellious idea. A rebellion related to whiskey might be a good thing. Yeah. No, seriously. I am totally off my game. It's been like weeks since I've been able to stream and record. Uh, so I'm probably talking about things that I wouldn't usually talk about. And that might be good or bad. I don't know. Depends on how you feel about it. Getting more unfiltered Hyde is probably a bad thing. But, probably closer to Jekyll. So long as I put Jekyll up on the screen, maybe I could get away with it. Because it doesn't matter what Jekyll says. Nobody thinks that Jekyll is a good person. Enjoying it yourself? Well, I'm glad. I'm glad someone is enjoying it in the audience. I don't know. As long as at least one person in the audience is enjoying it, that's probably okay. But if I did put Jekyll on, I could say the most insane things. No one bats an eye, right? It's all about the character. That's the great thing about PNG tubing, or VTubing in general. It's not attached to your face. No. you can say things, and you can make jokes out of things, and you can make a person a bad guy, as it were, right? So I made Jekyll the bad guy for all of my streams. Jekyll is the bad guy, Hyde's the good guy. Very easy to tell them apart. One has red hair, the other one has brown hair. Coppery brown hair. Very easy to distinguish. So whenever you click on a Jekyll stream or video, you know there's going to be some insane stuff. And whenever you click on a Hyde video or stream, you know it's probably going to be more chill and comfortable, hopefully. And you can take it a bit more seriously. Whereas with the Jekyll thing, it's tongue-in-cheek, right? I like that aspect of it. And I've always wanted to do more with that. Which is why I'm happy to announce that I've been working hard between the tech issues, which I'm still experiencing, and will be experiencing for at least a week now. A little bit longer. Probably February 10th or 11th is when the part will arrive, because it's an outdated part. From who knows where. Some factory or warehouse somewhere. Probably a dumpster. When I get that part, I'll be able to start working again. But in the meantime, I do have my long project half finished. The project I've been working on for, what, 2, 3, 4 weeks now? I've spent over 12 hours on it, and I've only gotten 35 minutes of video. And with the issues of my current computer, I'm very, very panicked and scared that I will lose that progress on editing the video, the long project. So I'm probably going to release what I have sometime this week. I'm going to release the first half of it that I have finished. And then maybe a month later, you'll get the second half. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do have it. And I'm very happy about that, because it's a project that I've been wanting to do for a while now, you know? I've been wanting to do this for... I actually looked it up. About a year ago, I did a very special stream. It was a movie watch-along, and I had an idea after that stream that I wanted to make content a specific way. I'm glad you'll be looking forward to it. I'm proud with what I have. There are some rough moments, and it isn't exactly how I wanted it. But with the tech issues I'm having, we're talking about catastrophic data failure. I don't want to be too specific, but yes, there is a risk of catastrophic data failure. I have backed up my files. So, I kinda have to push it forward. So, I guess that's good, I guess that's bad in some ways. But I'm very happy that I'll be able to present something. It will not be lost to the aether. I have it backed up, and even if it's not perfect, those 12 hours of 12 hours of progress will not be lost. I would be so heartbroken. When I first had the tech issue, it made me wonder about catastrophic data failure. I thought to myself, oh god, there's 10 hours of work that just went down the drain. 10 hours, at least. Because I had to record things for this at least 3 times. And I just didn't feel like doing it again. So the fact that I didn't lose the data is good. And the fact that I can get anything out at all is good enough. When I was in college, I had a professor take me aside after, I guess it was a finals paper. Like, he gave me a higher grade than someone who did the same kind of topic. And I worked with the guy who wrote the other final paper. And we worked together. We hypothesized together. We discussed things. And we were pretty much doing the same topic. But our conclusions were slightly different. And otherwise, everything else was pretty similar. and I got a much higher grade, and I was like, I don't feel like that's right. You know, I don't feel like I deserve such a higher grade, because it's pretty much the same thing. It's just one or two sentences that really matter are different. And I didn't feel like it was good enough. And the professor took me aside. He said, well, sometimes it's not about being perfect. It's just about being better. Or, you know, better than nothing. You know? You don't have to hold yourself to such high standards, was the message there. And it was all comparative. I don't know if that's saying a good thing or a bad thing, but it really resonated with me, right? Sometimes handing something in is better than handing nothing in. Sometimes it's not, but in a lot of cases it is. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try and actually live that philosophy a little bit more. And not worry so much about some of the things that I feel like I have a lot of content in my backlog that I just never felt was good enough. I have videos from over a year and a half ago that I've just never edited because I didn't think they were good enough to release. And they may never be released. I have videos from when I first started that I've never released. Things that I just thought were too much of a hassle, or I didn't want to edit them because they weren't good enough. They weren't entertaining. I wasn't good enough at the time. Hyde Lost Media? You'd be surprised. There is a lot of Hyde Lost Media out there. Well, not out there. It's all backed up now. But there is a lot of lost Hyde recording. And when I put out a video, I have to have minimal standards for myself, right? I know I put out a lot of garbage. I put out a lot of... I don't... It's not garbage, it's just... I put out a lot of stuff that is questionable. I put out a lot of things with, like, frame rate issues. That's okay. I don't mind that. If there's a fun experience, if there's a good game, it doesn't matter if there are frame rate issues, or... I just have to have minimal standards for myself. And I'm okay with the first half of the project that I've been working on. So I'm going to release that sometime this week. It will be out there. I'm happy about that. It makes me giddy, right? Like, this project is a passion project of mine, and it has a lot of heart and soul in there, right? Like, it's something that I could only do as Hyde, which I think ought to be the goal of any VTuber or PNG tuber out there, right? To make content that a PNG tuber or VTuber can make. Only a PNG tuber or VTuber can make. That's the thing. I've underutilized my abilities as a PNG tuber for far too long. I've let myself grow complacent, and I've really needed this project to push myself out of that kind of rut. And I recognize it as a rut. I say it's a rut, and I don't like it. Me being a PNG tuber, I want to do what I want to do, right? Like, I've got my own goals, and I'm always happy when other people enjoy my content, other people watch it, other people give it a chance, or just put it on in the background and let me drone on and on and on, which I often do. I'm very happy about that. But I also have my own goals, you know? I want to improve. That's the #1 thing about me as a PNG tuber. I want to improve something. And I've got a lot of things that I want to improve. Whether it be my voice, my talking. Like, I don't know if you can hear it, but I do have a little bit more fry in my voice than I used to have. I haven't been talking as much. I haven't been recording as much. So I'm backsliding on that, which is not good. But I also want to learn how to improve my craft, right? There are a lot of different elements to VTubing. There's the model itself, of course. If it's... Yeah, it is there. It isn't bad, I know, it's been much worse. If you go back to my first stream with a model, with a PNG, it is remarkably different. That's how I used to talk. For a couple years at least, that's how I used to talk. It wasn't great. Now, my voice is a lot smoother. Um, it's a lot more like it was in high school, when I was younger, when I was talking to people more. And college, of course, but towards the end of college, I started isolating myself a lot more too. Anyway, there are a lot of things that I want to do as a PNG tuber that I just haven't done yet. A lot of projects, a lot of things that I want to do. So, I'm hoping that as soon as I get these technology issues finally ironed out, that I can actually do them. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. um, I've talked about going to speech therapy a lot when I was a kid. Uh, Multiple streams now. So it is nice to hear that some of those efforts to improve my voice have helped. That people might enjoy it. You know, it's interesting. I hear that I have some kind of unique voice, right? I've always thought it was monotonous. There's a monotony that's kind of calming to it. I could understand that. But it's not like monotonous as a drone. There's just very little range to it. Which I hope, is kind of calming, right? There isn't too much variation. There's a very limited range, but there's enough variation that it isn't a monotonous drone like I'm some kind of school teacher teaching about ancient history. I actually had very nice teachers. Not too many of them had a droning voice, where you would fall asleep to them. But I don't mind if people fall asleep to my content. It would be very nice if people could fall asleep to my content. One of my biggest influences as a content creator was Northern Lion, right? And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget him playing a Binding of Isaac episode and saying, I'm just happy to be here providing company. And he was like, thank you for the company. And that's right. That's exactly right. I want to be the kind of person who, you can put on in the background, fall asleep to. I often fell asleep to Binding of Isaac videos on Northern Lion's channel. He is a nice one to watch. he is a font of trivia, isn't he? Like, he is amazing when it comes to movie trivia, modern media, songs especially. It's just remarkable how much the human brain can store. And I don't know. There's something special about his brain. I really enjoyed his content all the way back when he first started playing Binding of Isaac. I recently started going back to older content to... This is gonna sound really stupid, but I was looking at older content that I used to enjoy on YouTube, and I wanted to add some of it into my project, right? There was, this is really old now, probably. But, two best friends, right? Two best friends, Let's Plays. I started watching some of those, because I wanted some of that in my own content. I wanted to see their own chemistry, what made them tick. So I went back and started watching their old shitstorms of scariness. Some of my favorite content on YouTube. Them playing horror games and just bantering with one another. I thought it was brilliant content. It's fantastic stuff. It's higher energy than Northern Lion, and there are two people or more, as opposed to just one. But there's a certain artistry. It's not really something that you can replicate, but you can learn from it. I feel that's the case. I can definitely learn from two best friends play. Whereas with Northern Lion, I feel like it's just Northern Lion himself, you know? Ryan is Ryan. And he's just being himself. He is a font of trivia. He likes trivia. He likes different kinds of topics. He's always learning about something, it seems. And I don't know if you can replicate that either. But I can't replicate it, at least. I can't be the new Northern Lion. I can't be a Northern Lion in general. We're all different people. But there are certain things you can learn from certain people, right? And I feel like I can learn a lot from the interactions of Matt and Pat from Two Best Friends Play. A lot more than I could ever learn, at least to make content, from Northern Lion. Even if my content is more in the vein of Northern Lion, in the sense that it's more calm, less angry, a lot of the times. Although some of the unreleased Hyde content has some angry moments. Like the balloon hell game. I remember that. That was a long time ago. That was one of the first videos I made, and after seeing how angry I was, I decided to actually release it. Oh, that was a fun one. But yeah, I think my personality is a lot more on the calm side, but I don't think I can make content like Northern Lion. Yeah. So I'm gonna try and learn what I can from whoever I can, even if it doesn't make sense. There are a lot of people who have been on YouTube, right? There are a lot of people who stopped making YouTube content. Unfortunately, Two Best Friends Play, Matt and Pat and Wooly, and the rest of them no longer make content on that channel. That's very unfortunate to me because they're a big part of my childhood. I remember every Halloween, every October, I would look forward to the new horror games that they would play and showcase and get angry over. It was good content. It was very enjoyable. And, yeah, there's a lot that could be learned from them because they were so popular. Or not because they were so popular. I don't mean it's not a popularity contest. It's more about what appeals to people, right? Like, there was something about their chemistry that would just appeal to people. And it appealed to me. So I hope I can bring some of that into my content. Not all the time. I'm not going to be high energy. It's never going to happen. I'm a very low energy kind of person. So it's going to be more soothing, but I'm going to take what I can, right? I think that's the thing, right? As long as you can... Can I take this? No. Can I take this? No. Can I take this now? Thank you. As long as you can learn from whatever you're doing, or, this is my personal philosophy. It's not wasted time if you can learn something from it. So, if I feel like I want to watch a video, nowadays I'll watch a video and try to learn something from it, you know? I think that's fair. It's kind of how I started streaming too. When I first started streaming, I felt really bad about wasting time playing a bunch of Backpack Hero. And now here I am. Time spent with cats is never wasted. I agree, but there are some important additions. Absolutely. I agree, but I think there are some events with cats where it feels like you're wasting time because you could do something else with the cat instead. I'll give you an example. I just had to clean up cat vomit not too long ago. That seems like wasted time, right? Cleaning up cat vomit. It wasn't a hairball, it was cat vomit, which is never fun. I'd rather be petting my cat than cleaning up my cat's vomit. It very much seems like a wasted opportunity there. Now, I think we're gonna end it here, because that's a good point to end it. We didn't actually get to talk about much that I had planned to talk about. But that's okay. We talked about important things today. We talked about trilobites and the cost of eggs. I know, it's unfortunate. I just really need nicotine. You want to know a secret? I end my stream so quickly because about an hour is about as long as I can maintain myself without nicotine. Yeah. That is the danger of addiction. Whenever I go over an hour streaming, I'm really pushing myself without nicotine. And my brain starts to lag. Like, no one should ever smoke if they don't smoke. I think it's a really bad thing. Yes, smoke breaks are a thing that exist. I guess I could incorporate smoke breaks into my stream. I have a loading screen, right? Like, I have this. I could do boop, boop, boop. I could do that. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll give that a try sometime and actually take a break. Like, most people aren't actually here just sitting down for an hour and 40 minutes. They'll usually take like a 5-minute break between every 2 hours or so or something. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like my smoke breaks are a bit longer than most smoke breaks. As you know, as you may know, I don't like cigarettes. I do not smoke cigarettes. I smoke exclusively pipe tobacco and cigars, which are much longer smokes. Also higher in nicotine, which is a good thing. I like nicotine. Nicotine is good. It makes my brain go. Without nicotine and caffeine, I would be perpetually in a state of no energy. But I do not recommend either chemical for anyone who isn't already using them, and I don't recommend them for people who are using them. But that's a choice people make. I will say that smoking is bad. It's very bad for the health. I do not recommend it. However, if I did not have it, I would not be able to do much of anything. It's one of those strange things. Yeah, I don't know about health problem. Though I did forget to take my multivitamins today. I did. I forgot to take my multivitamins. It's fine. I'll just take more tomorrow, right? Like, I'll just double up. Do not double up your dose of multivitamins. I can't even make those jokes. I have to be very careful on YouTube, right? Like, my sarcasm doesn't always come through. Remember, kids, always take exactly as much vitamin A as necessary or prescribed. Never extra. It is very easy to overdose on vitamin A. Thank you, Dr. Jekyll. Oh, yes, hypothyroidism. It is an issue. In my case, that's not quite it. I feel... I feel like it's really unnecessary to go further into my own personal issue here. Other than to say, you know, that there is an underlying sort of issue, but I don't know if it's actually physiological. I don't think it's mental either. I don't think it's emotional either. Hard to say what it is. I think humans are creatures with a great deal of variation. That's what Freud would say, right? You know yourself best. Except, you know, Freud would probably know you better. And Freud knows what you know about your mother. So, yeah. Yeah. Without nicotine, I'm pretty much a babbling mess. If you've ever watched my stream before, you'll realize it goes real quickly downhill at around the hour mark. And the longer I push it, the further it goes downhill until the insanity ensues, which probably happened more tonight. Just getting back into the swing of things. But I am glad to be back, and I hope to be back next week, if my hardware allows. Maybe I'll play something different next week, I don't know. Maybe we'll just do another ChatterBait section. That could be the case. Probably will be. I might have to prepare for a different stream. I'm going to look into redundancies so that I don't have the issue I had last week. So hopefully things ought to be more stable. Once a week streams ought to continue. Yeah. Yes, I hope to see you again next week. And yeah, it's been nice. I hope to see everyone again next week. Very nice to talk to people. Very nice to have people here. But yeah, for now, been a pleasure. But hide out. Love you all. See you again next time, whenever it may be. Thank you for joining. Good night. And now we stop. I know what you're thinking. Is he gonna stop the stream? Did he forget that his mic is live? No. Delicious tobacco. Which I do not recommend to anyone. See y'all later. Hideout.